First gear, baby. You ready? Ready. Alright, y'all, we're gonna fire this bad boy up, let it run a while, warm up so we can check the transmission fluid full. But I just got under the truck. The pan is dry. So it looks to me like maybe we fixed our leak, hopefully. But it didn't get to run long, so I am gonna fire it up, let it warm up so I can check it and then top it off like it's supposed to be. And I'm gonna try and rearrange this a little bit, maybe move the saw on Dad's table and chair where I can back the truck in this side and get it as much out of the way as possible. I need the lift. I'm gonna fix this Camaro tomorrow for JT. And then we've got a 3.5-inch stainless exhaust system coming up for a Fox body for Edgar. And hopefully, between now and then, our wiring harness will show up for this, which I really need the lift to run the harness, but I'm really thinking about going ahead and tearing this off and getting that front end mounted, getting the killer dowel pin mod done, dropping the pan and checking to figure out what that tapping noise is. So I don't know, I'm on the fence, but either way the truck needs to be out of the way and I'd like it inside, not outside, which I can go move the Dodge and put it where the big Dodge is. Hoping to go get the bed from Jimmy tomorrow, so I will pull that truck out and hook it to the trailer anyway, and then we'll have a bed we can start modifying to work on here. I've got to fix my Miller. That joker won't crank now. Don't know why. It just spins over, no fuel. If I jump the fuel solenoid, it fires, but it runs wide open, so that's not good. I got to figure all that out. So we just got a pile of stuff going on, but this truck needs a front end on it, and that way we can get a radiator ordered and get it where we can wire it and actually drive it up and down the road. Would be really cool. So let's move this joker over. Man, how cool is this? Beautiful day out here. I've been out here cleaning up the yard and rearranging the shop. And my buddy Tracy stopped by. He was at Moultrie a few weeks ago, the swap meet, Moultrie, Georgia, big swap meet. He sells stuff at swap meets. And he's got a YouTube channel. I'll throw a link on the video. It's called Deep South Classics. Y'all go check him out. He finds cool stuff. Big into the old hot rods. He called me, he was like, hey man, this guy's got some Alabama tags. Are you hunting anything? Because I'm always hunting old tags. I try to get a vintage tag for the year for everything we've got. And I was like, man, I need a 40 tag. He called me about a 57 tag, but I had actually found one already. But he found me a 40 tag for Johnny Cash. So we're gonna get this thing thrown on there. It's gonna be so awesome. I'm gonna have to modify my bracket because I'm not drilling holes in my tag. But man, this is so cool. So excited about this. So huge thank you to him. And we'll get it on there. And like I said, I'm gonna throw a link down there. Y'all go check him out. He finds some really cool stuff. He had a killer 57 and a 56 he found in a barn. Now he's working on an old pickup. So y'all go check him out. How cool is that? It won't be mounted like this, obviously, when there's a bed here. I'll mount it center on the bed somehow. But got some nice little stainless Allens with some nylocks to keep it from coming loose, and I had to add this little extendo bracket on there. But I just really wanted to put it on the truck. That's just super cool. So big shout out to Tracy at Deep South Classics for the license plate. Doing a little piddling today. I had the wire wheel and the grinder out. I was actually cleaning up some old cast iron that I dug out of our storage. I'm gonna take home and start using after I season it. And I took, this is the Barracuda glove box door. So I took and wire wheeled it. I mean, it's pitted a little bit, but it was really getting kind of crusty. So I'm gonna get some primer on it and at least get it just something to keep it from getting any worse. Go put it back out with the car. And then this is the scoop off the cowl on Johnny Cash. And you can see by the time I actually get all that cleaned up, there's not gonna be anything left of it. So I wire wheeled the loose stuff best I could. I'm gonna take a little toothbrush wire brush and do a little more scrubbing, and then I'm gonna clean it and just clear coat it. So I took my 409 and my steel wool and cleaned what paint on it was left up best I could, and I like it. And I'm just gonna clear coat it and just add this to my list of, you know, replace eventually with a better part. But for now, especially considering the fact that, you know, it'll probably be quite a few years before we actually break this truck back down and paint it, this should be sufficient. So I'm gonna finish doing that and get some clear on it and get it installed, bolts and all. And I did want to show y'all, I bought a bed for Johnny Cash from my buddy Jimmy, and it's upside down right now, but I unloaded it. I got to clean it up, and then I'm gonna cut all the brackets off, straighten it up, wire wheel, actually get some measurements, cut it, wire wheel what's left, prime the underside and paint it, and then flip it over, do the same thing on the other side, and then work on getting it mounted on the truck. I got to do the same thing with the turnover gooseneck ball and get that hitch installed, then get the bed on top of it, you know. But just making a little progress, y'all. Nothing crazy. Got a coat of primer on the Barracuda glove box door. Seal that up good. And then got a coat of clear on this. And while I was wire brushing it with the hand brush, a bigger chunk fell out. And I might have got a little heavy on the clear. It's got to run, but got a little too excited. But it's coated all the way around, and it's, you know, there it is. And I realized, guys, I could cut this out and build a piece. It just wouldn't be perfect, but like it's all this, so it would be quite a big piece. But it's all good. It will serve its purpose. Hopefully when it dries, the runs will dry clear instead of white where they're thicker. But it'll look good. All right, the cowl intake is dry. It dried a little flat. I think I just didn't shake the primer up enough because it's got like a white haze to it. You can see that run there, but it's gonna serve its purpose. Doing a little piddling today. Cut all these busted up light brackets off. Ground all the ugly welds down. Just kind of taking in what I got to do. I got to get these off, and I'm probably going to skirt the back of the bed, put some flush mount LED lights in it. So other than getting these rubber pieces off, which is probably going to take a torch to cut the bolts, but been laying it out. I pulled a measurement. We're going to cut it 9 feet. So I got this laid out. I'm going to get the plasma cutter out and cut all this here, and then I'll flip it over and cut the actual floor of the bed from the top. Probably take it with a forklift out there in the yard and flip it over and dump all this garbage out of there. Just kind of piddling. The bed's definitely been up north somewhere. Some of the steel's kind of thin where it's had, you know, junk sitting on it forever. But it'll serve the purpose. And there's a bunch I'm going to have to re-weld on it where whoever built this bed originally just... There weren't much for the whole welding thing. Which is fine, but that's what I'm gonna do real quick. I'm gonna cut this from the top side or from the bottom side right here, and then get the forklift and flip it over, cut the other side, shorten it up, and then I'll take my measurements and all from the cab where the stacks are going to be, cut them out. We are going to angle this back somewhere in front of where the wheel will be. Make a little progress on this flatbed. Now I can get it wire wheeled and start painting it. I'm going to try to straighten these sides out on it. Make it look fairly presentable. Got her cut. Go fire the forklift, let it warm up a couple of minutes. Come up here and pick this thing up, take it out there and flip it over. Bring it back up here. Cut the top. Now we can cut this front spot off. I've never seen it right side up. It was upside down when I bought it. I will grind all that out, weld it up, beat some of this flat. That worked pretty good. We do have fork extensions. They're just kind of a pain. But I think this thing will look good when it's kind of skirted in the back, make it seem lower. I don't know if I'm gonna skirt the sides. Part of me wants to, part of me doesn't, but it look, if I skirted the sides and cut these off and then take the torch and blow holes in it and put the standard pockets, where it takes like a 2x4 size piece, and I can put sides on it, I might do that. I might end up cutting all this off just to clean it up, but we'll see. I'm gonna cut it and then figure out where I want to cut it back here and angle it in and do all that jazz. But I figure might as well get all my cutting done and figure it all out before I worry about trying to paint it. Got her laid out best I can. Got this piece of square tubing. I use it as a guide. Try and cut it pretty straight. Let's get it started. A little off on this line on this side, but it ain't much, and this is going to get skinnier. So my thoughts on this is as hot goober is to where it hits the cab, we're going to kind of try and follow the curve of the cab, leave a gap, and then I'm going to cut it around the stacks, and then there's going to be a little bit of meat, and it's going to angle back, and I'm not sure how much or how far, but this is the start of it. Got it at least cut down to where it's gonna be. Got it cleaned up a little bit. I'll probably end up having to patch it over here. There will be a hole in the middle for the gooseneck ball, but right here it had some gunk trapped under it, so it's thin. But got a couple high spots I'll beat out of it. But what I got to do is clean up the hitch and get it mounted to the chassis on the truck, and then we'll pull some measurements for the gooseneck ball hole and all that, and then we got to set it on there. I did pull all these bed mount pieces off of the other truck, or maybe this truck, I don't know. Some of them came off of one, some came off the other, but we'll reuse what of those we can, and that'll work. While I got the plasma cutter out, I'm gonna try to pull some measurements and see how much of this I want to cut off the edges. got so far. I'm gonna cut them off, and I am gonna cap this. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it yet. Probably end up cutting this off like at an angle this way and putting a piece of channel on the edge. But I got to test fit everything. I don't know that this is exact. I might have to trim the holes for the stacks a little more and all that, and I might end up, tapering this back even farther. I don't know. Just depends on how it's going to look on the truck. It's just a really narrow cab to have an 8-foot wide dually bed on it, which, I mean, I know back in the day they had big beds on these early truck cabs, so, grain bodies and whatnot. I just want it to kind of look good, but I also want use of the bed. So, and it is right at 9 foot, and I'll put a gap in between the cab and the bed. And I'd like to eventually do like a transfer tank deal up at the front, but I kind of want it big enough I can put that little tiny German car on it, or maybe the wife's buggy, the side-by-side. That'd be cool. Which that's also, if the bed's not long enough, I'll do like I did on the Weldon bed on the big truck, and we'll put some 2-inch receiver pockets on it, and then I can take 2-inch square tubing and build like extensions, or build a way to hook the ramps on. It'll just stick out with a little piece of channel, stuff like that. I want the truck to be useful. I am probably gonna plate one of these corners, add some deal to it there. There's a nail stuck in there. There's 2 of them. But add a sturdy piece of plate tied to this. Probably cut the diamond plate out so that it ties to structure. And then I want to add a small crane. Not like really a crane, I guess more like a swing out, just a boom lift kind of deal. Probably not the Harbor Freight thing. Probably just build one out of some of that drill pipe we've got and do like a boat winch with cable on it and a couple of snatch blocks. That way it'll, won't be quite as much load, distance over load, make it a little easier. But sun's going down, starting to cool off. It's gonna get down in the low 30s tonight again, and it's my mom's birthday, so happy birthday, Mom. We're gonna go have supper with them, so I'll probably go ahead and cut them off while I got the plasma cutter out and just call it a day. But I'm enjoying it. This is the kind of stuff I really like to do. I got to get that joker running. That's not good that it doesn't run. So until I get that fixed, this will probably all get MIG welded. I'd rather stick weld it because it's rusty. 6-10 rod kind of burned through most of it if you run a wire wheel across it. But that being said, we've got to start on our bed for sure. It's going to be awesome. Going to be a cool old truck. Okay, today I'm going to work on getting this hitch fit up and installed. I already grinded all the leftover weld off of it. I'm going to through bolt it with grade 8, and then I am going to weld it to the frame just like they had it. But what I got to do, so I'm thinking I'm going to be just forward of this rivet on both sides, enough to get a weld in there, so maybe a 1/2 inch forward of that. I am going to have to move this, which is not a big deal. But other than that, it looks like it's going to work pretty good. Generally, your hitch, you want it centered over the axle. A lot of welding rigs run it kind of a little farther back, which wouldn't hurt my feelings either. But this truck doesn't have a weld machine on it and all that extra weight. So I think the safest thing to do is to center it best I can. And it's going to be far enough back that pulling a gooseneck with it won't be a problem. But so I'm gonna work on that. I do want to get it painted. I've been cleaning it a little bit. It hinges, lays down fine. It took grease, all that fun stuff. So I'm gonna work on that. And then I'll work on cleaning the bed up some more. Probably won't get to test fit the bed today, but I'll get this at least set where it's supposed to be, punch everything. Probably put it on the lift, snatch wheels and tires off, and get my holes drilled and get it bolted on, and then paint it later. But just get a little done. I'm waiting on some folks to show up, buy some parts. I sold the computer off that 96 Cummins out there because I don't need it. I will have to buy a standalone trans controller for that when we swap it in the Caddy. But for now, I'm not too worried about it. I'm just kind of selling stuff, trying to, save up some money. And I sold Guy's supposed to be coming to get the rack and pinion off the WS6 Trans Am and the engine mount stands. I guess he's V8 swapping one, I'm not really sure. But, you know, just getting rid of stuff we don't need, trying to clean up some, get rid of parts. It's been working out pretty good. Trying to keep the shop clean. But let's get after this. Pretty well welded. I'd have preferred to stick weld this, but that joker won't run, so, and I don't stick weld off of my Dynasty, and I didn't feel like dragging the other stuff out. So this MIG welded, and yes, I did weld it downhill, and no, I don't care how you feel about it. I will probably still drill the holes and put some bolts in it just for GP, being that this is gonna have a hitch on it. I mean, and we don't have a gooseneck trailer, y'all, but I really want a low deck big enough for 2 cars. Could haul with this thing, that'd be really cool one day. But either way, the hitch is on there, so now I can start figuring up the bed. I figured on trying to set the bed flush on this and cutting this whole square out of the bed. Not really sure yet, but that's kind of my thoughts. You know, or I'll just put the bed over the top of it and just cut out for the hitch, the turnover ball part. But there you go. Not too shabby. Got a hitch on it now. Gotta do some measurings, clean this bed up a little bit. Probably have to do the exhaust on Edgar's Mustang before I put the bed on the truck, just because today's Saturday and I'm gonna have him bring the car Monday so we can get started on that and get it done, hopefully, you know, before the first of the year. Work on it Monday, part of the day Tuesday, and then Christmas and all that stuff. And then after Christmas, I'll come out here and try and knock it out, get it done. And then we'll work on this some more. Y'all, plan today. It's a beautiful day. It's Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful Christmas and enjoy time with your family. That's what I'm doing today. Dad just ran in the house. I'm gonna take a break from Edgar's Mustang. I worked on it a little bit yesterday. Took everything apart, cut it all up, ready to just kind of start putting it back together. But what I'm gonna do today, since it's so nice out, I got the forklift running and warming up, the Rotson forklift. Pick this bed up, bring it in here, hook it to the chain fall, back the truck under it, and test my fit up, my cuts, mark everything else that I've got to cut, and then, you know, put it back down. Just something fun to do, you know, see if these mounts are gonna work, all that jazz. I think it'll be fun. The white Camaro is back. Everything we did is great, but it now has a serious oil leak at the motor. JT thinks it's coming from the top at the back. He run it by oil change place on the way here, just threw it on the lift real quick to see. And so maybe sending unit, not really sure, but I got to finish Edgar's Mustang before that goes in the shop. Once we're done with that, be heavy back on Johnny Cash. But me and Dad been talking, and as much as I want to get back on Old Blue, I think we're going to put the S10 back together that had the LS in it, because I'd like to sell that truck, and the longer it sits out here, you know, it's just going to run. That's what stuff does, and it's in the weather. I don't have room under the thing for it, and it was a fun truck, but it's time for it to move on to greener pastures, somebody else that will, you know, really appreciate it, because, you know, we enjoyed it for about 2 years, and it's just sitting here growing mold now, so. We'll get the forklift, throw the extensions on it, get started. notch out now. So what I'm gonna do, it's sitting on the frame here. I'm gonna cut this centerpiece out because it's really not doing anything anyway. I'm also gonna cut these up a little higher. And then that way, I'm hoping it'll set here. I'll measure my distance, front and rear, set it down, same thing on the other side. And then we're actually touching the back of the cab. So I'm gonna notch it. This side could come back, but see it's hitting in some places. So I'm gonna open the notches up on both sides and then do the same thing again. But it's worked out. I got it bungee strapped to the door, so when I pick it up, it keeps it centered enough I can pull the truck in and out. Easy peasy. We'll see. I might end up having to do some serious modifications for the hitch. You know, I might have to cut this slam in two, and I don't know. Thinking maybe the hitch needed to be added to the bed and then the bed bolted to the truck. But I like the idea of the hitch being bolted to the truck. But we're getting closer. I like this gap a lot more than I did before. You know, it's that much lower. So. Okay, there's some more of what we cut out. Figured y'all saw enough of it the first time. It is thin right there, but it's a piece of channel, so it acts like angle iron. Plus, it's gonna be mounted front and rear to the frame itself. We just needed some clearance, and that's another reason why I like the hitch being attached to the truck, because in order for it to tear the hitch off, it's got to tear the bed and everything else off too, instead of just pulling the ball off the bed or something. I just feel like that's safer. So let's back it in here and see. Pulled it out where I could really see it. This corner's a little high. I think where I got these blocks sitting under here, the frame's a little bent on this side upwards, and maybe this side's downwards, like it's been wrecked. I don't know. So just the fact that it's leaning this way doesn't really matter. That can be adjusted, accounted for, whatever. You can push down on it and it changes, but what I was trying to do was decide if I liked the height of the bed and the angle of the bed compared to the angle of the truck. Because the truck's nose down, and the bed is too, but the bed to me appears to follow the frame. And that's what we want. We want it to kind of run with the truck. I'd love the back of it, and now that we've got the clearance, I got half of mine to just build some custom shackles, but we got to be careful because if I raise the shackles too much, it changes our pinion angle on our rear end. But I'd love to see this joker about 3 or 4 inches lower in the back, where it's set kind of level. But I mean, for the most part, I like it. I'm really on the fence of trimming it some more. To see what I can do is I can trim it here where it's going to hit the frame in there, and I can drop it on down. Thing is, I don't really want to cut that piece off of that, which I'm going to have to. You know what I mean? Because I can get a 1/2 inch, but it ain't really worth that. If I was to cut that piece slam off, I'd have to tie something back to that brace and then tie something in between these. Same thing back here, you know, where this was setting on the hitch. But I need some of the clearance because I got to be able to get fuel neck and all out of it. me shut the truck off. See, I need to be able to get a fuel neck out of it. I'll put the filler neck, you know, probably here or right in the corner of the bed. I got a cool filler cap I'm gonna mount. I just, you know, I'll have to redo all this, but I will need room to get it out, which right where it's at, I got enough room, I do believe. I'm kind of thinking I'm gonna leave it. Only thing I don't like about it is how far the hitch is gonna be below the bed. So, I don't know if y'all can tell much about it in there. But see, when I turn the ball over, the top of the ball is gonna be almost flush with the bed. So, I don't know. I'm thinking I might need to trim the front of the bed to fudge it forward a little bit, just because of the position of the ball compared to this cross brace. But you know, the bed's kind of gnarly, but it serves its purpose, and Jimmy hooked me up. It was cheap enough. Would I like a nicer bed? Yeah, of course. I'd love a C&M skirted bed, even though those jokers fall apart after 10 years of working them. But, you know, I had half of mine take the bed off my truck, put it on here, but I ain't gonna do that. It's nice having something reliable, that's purpose-built, you know, that can be used for work if it needs to be. Where this, you know, I'm not gonna travel the country in this truck. Not welding and stuff, you know, which I got a day job. Hopefully I'll get to keep it until I don't want it no more, but never know. It's always good to have another plan. Man, I like this truck. Let's back up and look at it again. I mean, to me, the bed's pretty good. Let's see. Let's go to the other side, get the sun out of y'all's eyes. I like it. And see, I'm thinking, you know, some slats down the side of it, some wooden slats, you know, 2 or 3 2x6s. And, you know, not the full length of the bed, you know, just stagger them. Start one, you know, stop about there. Next one there, you know, higher up. And then the next one maybe there, or maybe just 2. I don't know. That's why I like this kind of stuff. I can kind of just, a little bit at a time, figure out how I want to do it. And I'll probably take the pieces. I don't know if these are going to be long enough, but the that piece out there is 2 foot on the ends, so those should be long enough. But I want to wrap around here so it's still channeled. But I like it. Thinking I'm gonna go grab some straps because I got the wood blocks under there and just strap it down for now, because it's Christmas Eve and I'm getting close to being done for the day. And I think the truck will fit in the shop with the bed on it. Might not be the most convenient thing, but saves, you know, fighting it off, because I got to pick it up with a chain fall, and then I got to get the forklift, and I got to do all that. So I'm thinking if I go get my ratchet straps, I can ratchet strap it down where it won't go anywhere over the bumps, and I'll be able to put it back in the shop after I clean my mess up. Call it a day. I'll build a cover for the battery box. Thinking about maybe I should skirt the bed, you know what I mean? Come around about halfway down the tire and have an opening. I don't know, definitely gonna run some big mud flaps, and definitely gonna put a panel on the back that'll angle down kind of to the hitch, Probably come down straight 6 inches and then angle down to the hitch. Both sides, put all my lights in it, flush panel on the back. Might use that piece of diamond plate that I cut off the bed already, because it's 8 foot wide. That would be sufficient. It's 2 foot deep, which will probably reach the hitch, and that'll kind of hide everything. Flush mount all the LED lights. And like, you know, this stuff can be done later. But I wanted to get it out here in the yard and be able to see it. But I like it. I think it'll do. Y'all have a Merry Christmas. God bless you.